Today, I'm gonna be cooking up with my boy Ghost Rage, who's worked with Future, Lil Baby, Lil Durk, King Von, Lil Yachty, and so many more. In today's video, we're gonna be cooking up 100% from scratch and try to get some insights into what it is about his process that gets his songs placed on these huge artist projects. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. All right, so I wanted to start the idea today with this new plugin kind of thing that I collabed with this company Lemonade on. It's like an AI MIDI generator that's trained on my MIDI. So I sent them like hundreds of my MIDIs to like train and like make stuff that sounds like me, and you just like press this button right here and it'll generate like an R&B soulful kind of progression that sounds like some shit that I would use. It comes up with MIDIs. You can also change the preset of like the sound that's playing, and then you could also just drag in like the wave sample if you like the preset already. For example, I just drag it like this into my project, so we can go through some of them real quick and find one that you like.
Do something that's more dark, like some more trapped out shit.
If I change that to
ooh, you can flip that into some dark shit easy as fuck.
a little too much reverb.
I already hear like the beat in my head.
I'm gonna do one more sound just so you have a little bit more to work with. There's also this crazy plugin bundle I've been using recently called Safari Pedals. All right, so I just made that quick little starter with the Lemonade MIDI, and I'm just dragging that into here and sending it over to Ghost Rage, and he's gonna get it in and flip this shit. So what do you normally do whenever you pull up a starter to flip it?
More often than not, I actually don't use starters. Despite like not really using starters a lot, I very much use audio files very frequently. Something that's like one of my favorite things to do when it comes to making beats or loops. I will take like a sample that I made a year and a half ago and like completely flip it into some whole other shit. I will take a sample and then I will go to the volume stuff so that basically like whenever I'm done playing a note, it stops playing.
So you'll sample the whole entire loop as like one audio file in the MIDI and then like make a new MIDI.
Yeah, I will basically flip it into something else or like do like crazy shit like that when it comes to like older loops. Actually, I kind of like that. That's like, I don't know. It's something that I do a lot. I mean, I made Weirdo from Nav doing that. I'll show you the original Nav sample and I'll show you what I flipped it into. What I did was, this is the original Weirdo Nav sample.
That's still hard as fuck.
You can hear it a little bit more when it goes up in volume, like. I don't remember the exact thing that I did because again, I made this loop like a really long time ago, but I did the same thing that I just showed you, which was doing the volume stuff, reversing different parts of it and then half timing different parts to make it more on time. And then I turned it into this. So yeah, that's like a pretty common thing that I do when it comes to flipping audio samples. One of the biggest problems I think, and it's like, it's very easy to get sucked into what I like to call like the downward spiral of VST plugins, where essentially like we're getting so obsessed with what it is that's in front of us. When you completely distance yourself, again, because you're basically turning the MIDI into a sampler, it basically forces you to like use your taste and ears to like come up with something really sick.
Real quick, before Ghost Rage gets in and flips this into something crazy, I want to tell you about my very first plugin type of tool, Collab Club with Lemonade. Essentially what this is an app that is trained on my actual MIDI and my music to generate you MIDIs, chord progressions, melodies, all that kind of stuff that actually sound like something that I personally would use. So if you like the sound of my melodies and you don't know music theory, or you just want some instant inspiration so you don't have to fight with beat block, I think you should definitely check it out. I'll put it as the first link in the description so you can go check that out, and there's a video on that page where I'll explain it super in depth. So check out that link and let's get back into the cook-up. So I've seen you talk. You did one of the interviews where you talk about the new Ski Mask Slump God song you did. You talked about how you like to get the oddball songs on albums. When you're cooking up, are you consciously trying to make stuff that's unique and weird?
It happens naturally. Every time I've consciously sat down to like work with a specific person and I made something specifically for them, it never got placed with them. Try to make whatever comes naturally to me, and then I'll normally kind of just figure out who it goes to after, who I think would sound good on it. The oddball cuts are really fun to me because I feel like I like making a song that's like a cult classic that's going to be continuously revisited. I don't know if we've talked much about this, but I didn't start with making beats. You know, School of Rock, the movie? Like, okay, so it's based on an actual place, and I was one of the original students in their LA branch. So I was 10 years old and 11 years old hanging out with like Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine, Perry Farrell from Jane's Addiction. Like, I've been around a lot of different people as a little kid, and all the people that I looked up to, they never made music because of the status of it. They made music with their friends and people who they fucked with.
So what's your normal process whenever you're cooking up? Like,
Part of my process is I also just randomly click stuff until it sounds cool to me. Sometimes I will start with just like a few chords to base something around, and I'll try to find like a really catchy melody and like only use like maybe 2 or 3 notes and then build something around it. So like, never underestimate the power of a really catchy 3-note loop.
how did you actually get the chance to produce on Out the Mud with Lil Baby and Future?
Believe it or not, Out the Mud was one of the first loops I ever made. And what ended up happening was Quay Global was on a live stream on Instagram. He had posted an email for people to send him music to listen to. I sent him a pack, and Out the Mud was the first loop in that folder. I get a DM from an account that says Quay Global is like, bro, you're so fire. Like, I'm fucking with those loops. So we start going back and forth. I'm just sending him stuff. I think 6 months goes by. He sends me a snippet of the song that Lil Baby posted on his story. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I got a song with Lil Baby. And then he posts the cover art, and he's like, produced by me next Friday. And I just said, you know, congratulations. You got the first Lil Baby and Future collab. Like, that's a big deal. Like, I'm happy for you. And he was just like, nah, dude, this is the beat that you and me did. And I was like, oh, shit. Okay, cool.
So what was it like whenever you first heard that song?
I started crying. I literally started crying. DS2 and that whole 2014, 15, 16 era was all I listened to. You know, I had a very rough patch in my life during that whole era of his stuff. Like, Future was like the soundtrack to that year. That was the biggest goal in my life, was to produce for Future. And I have multiple songs with him now. When Future's verse came on, I literally started crying. I'll never forget that day. Actually, hold on, I'm about to record the delay and put that in there because that was hard. Oh my God. This is hard as fuck.
So you've worked with a ton of huge producers like Wheezy, Quay Global, Benny X. How did you get yourself to a point where you could build your network up to like work with big producers like that?
So the first thing I did when Out the Mud came out was I DM'd every single big producer on the face of the earth. I did get responses from like a pretty good chunk of them. I just capitalized on that one song and built everything else up. Out the Mud was the reason I got in contact with Pyrex. It was the reason I got in contact with 30 Rock, Wheezy for sure. As far as the Benny X thing goes and the Wheezy thing goes, those were two very unique situations. The Wheezy one, I was very smart about working with the people around him. He works a lot with this guy named Lil Justin, and I found out, oh, Lil Justin is like his literal younger brother. Let me send him some stuff. And then I heard a live stream of them using my loops together on Wheezy's computer. And then I reached out to him and I posted the beat that they made, and Wheezy commented like, send me some more shit, bro, let's go. So then that led to Weirdo From Now. Benny X was also a unique situation in that we had met a very long time ago and we're friends. Like, we're very good friends. It's not a transactional relationship. That's someone who like I've had like hour-long phone calls with just talking about life. And I think people forget that like all these individuals who you want to work with, they're also people. You don't want to be the guy that like is asking for stuff all the time. You want to be the guy that someone wants to be around.
If you have any weird tips or like things that you do with your production, that would be sick if you could show that.
I use a lot of the pre-computed controls for panning. I automate channel pitch, volume, all sorts of shit.
Damn, that sounds crazy.
I'm actually going to use that as an effect. Hold on.
And how do you do that pitch automation? I'm not an FL, but for people who are.
Option O, and then go to controls, and then mess with the LFO over here.
If you were starting out from zero, you had no placements, nobody knew who you were, nothing like that, what would be your step-by-step plan to get your first major placement?
Uploading beats nonstop on YouTube, uploading videos on TikTok constantly, uploading everywhere I possibly can, sending out, DMing as many people as I possibly can, jumping on an opportunity before everyone else has and capitalizing on it. If there's anything that I've learned in this industry is that no one knows what the fuck they're doing, including both of us.
What's a huge mistake that you see up-and-coming producers making?
Nardo Wick ESTG type loops every single fucking day. I don't need them. I don't want them. Be observant. I feel like the thing that people fuck up on is like they'll send stuff without curating. It takes like 3 minutes to go through someone's Spotify and see like what songs they've done.
Real quick, before you add the drums, do you have any low-key VSTs that like not everyone knows about that you've been using recently?
Omnisphere. I know it sounds so dumb because it's like the most known VST there is, but there are different ways you can use it that are very, very inventive that people don't do. First off, the effects areas are super duper underrated. But the way that I use Omnisphere, I don't use the presets. I'll either sound design using stuff like this, or I'll go through the sampler, or even like drag and drop one-shots into Omnisphere this way. I have a collection of one-shots that I use. I mean, the craziest thing too is like people ask me what plugins I use, and the real answer is like I use my own one-shot kits that you can buy online more than anything else. Because I make them for myself.
I think this is the last question I got. If you had one tip for an up-and-coming music producer to improve their music faster, what would you say is like the best thing that they can do?
Learn how to play drums. That was my first instrument because I know how to play everything. I play guitar, bass, drums, keys. I sing a little. Getaway from Young Dolph was actually my voice. That was my sample. If you learn how to play drums first, you view a MIDI controller or just a keyboard as like a percussive instrument, and you get to learn the rhythm of music, which is so critical. Well, there you have it. I'm about to lay this out later today. That switch is hard. You were right for that.
Real quick, as a reminder, that whole melody we made was with my new plugin app kind of thing with Lemonade. So if you want to check that out to get some instant inspiration for your music, just click the first link in the description down below. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.